So that is the big mindset shift that is going to lead to you establishing trust very quickly in interactions. That's something that we're going to expand upon in the confidence module. We're going to be installing these beliefs so it becomes natural to you. But there's an even faster, simpler way to create trust. I have to say the mindset first because that's fundamental, but this is a technique that you can do to build it probably in the span of just a few seconds. And it's using your body with touch. We touch so infrequently in American society, or at least in northeastern, the coastal societies tend to not do it very much. I've traveled around the world, different cultures do it at different levels, and I'll be discussing that briefly. But if you live in the Western world, chances are that you are less comfortable with touch than would be charismatically optimal. And that's why I want to help you today figure out how you can quickly and comfortably touch other people in a way that it breaks down that boundary between you so that you feel most comfortable and they're opening up to you. Because I'm sure that you've entered into a group of people, it's a friend of a friend, and you don't really know what to do, and you're kind of standing outside the circle, and your friend waits 5 seconds before going, "Oh, this is Jim. Have you met Jim?" And you go, "Hey." He goes, "Oh, hey." And you're not really sure if you're part of the group. And that's because you've not been brought into the fold via a touch. You've not been properly introduced. I hate to say it, but it is true. We share common ancestors with other mammals. And if you look at the way that dogs approach one another, they often go up very close. They sniff each other's butts. You don't have to sniff anybody's butts, but that modern version for humans is going to be the handshake, right? Or it can be the hug. There's two primary different types of touching you're going to see. And the first is this greeting style touch. In a business setting, whether you're a guy or a girl, that is the business handshake. And you just stick your hand out, you give a handshake. This isn't very complicated. In different scenarios where it's a little bit less formal, you can give hugs as well. Between men, at least in the United States of America, that's something called the bro hug. And you've seen it before. Hand goes up, slap hands, one hand over the shoulder, and then separate. That's very, very popular amongst men. If you're a girl or a guy, typically what you can do in these more social scenarios, and I recommend it, is to become a hugger. Now, this doesn't mean that you're expressing sexual interest in every person that you speak to, because you're not using it just with the one person who you find handsome or beautiful. You're using it with people of the opposite sex generally. And that's going to communicate to everybody when they see you do it with more than one person that you are a hugger. And if people don't know what to do, they stick their hand out, you can say, "I'm a hugger." And the simple way to hug is one hand goes under one arm, one hand goes over the other. You guys embrace for a second or two and separate. And the last way, which is more casual, which is oftentimes a gym thing, or if there's a lot of different people, is the high five, the fist bump, whatever it is. That is the least trust building of them. But if you're walking past someone quickly and you just got to give them a tap on the shoulder or a little fist bump, that's a very useful way to greet someone. This might seem not very important to you because these touches are lasting sometimes just a fraction of a second. But notice how you feel if you don't get an opportunity in a group to greet people with a handshake. You feel somewhat outside of it if you've been brought into it later. But if you do handshake people, and we're going to work on this for our action guide, or you do give them a hug, that is going to quickly bring you into the group. You're one of them. Trust has been established. Now, the good news is, if for whatever reason this escapes you and you don't do a greeting touch, there's other kinds of touches, which is the second kind, called emphasizers. And these are just things that you do to emphasize what you're saying. So playfully, a guy or girl can do this. If you tell a joke, you can do the fake push, which is where you rest your hand on someone's shoulder, you push, but mostly you're rocking away instead of shoving them off of their center of gravity. Another one, if you're sitting and you're talking, you can do a little knee tap. Again, you don't want to slide past the knee for sexual reasons, but if you just place your hand on someone's knee to get their attention, whether it's 2 taps on the knee or you rest your hand there for a second or two, that is an emphasizer as well. Similar thing, we have forearms. You can put your hand on someone's forearm, go like this. You'll see Oprah Winfrey does this very, very often in her interactions. Men and women alike can do this to just grab someone's attention and show them what's going on. You can do high fives. And of course, if there's something going on in the story that you are telling someone and you want to illustrate what someone did, you can use their body as a demonstration. Again, within reason. I hope I don't have to go too far into what sort of scenarios you wouldn't want to. But briefly, let's just say if it's anywhere in here, genitalia area, don't do it. Areas that are thumbs up for emphasizers tend to be shoulders, arms, forearms, knee, if you're sitting, all that kind of stuff tends to work very well. The style of touch that is going to work for emphasizing what you're saying is somewhere in between hover hands and lingering. What's very uncomfortable is when someone who wants to touch but doesn't know what they're doing kind of just rests their hand right here above your shoulder. And you've seen this maybe in some memeable photos. The other thing that some people do is they touch for too long. They just leave their hand there. And while some people do this very effectively, Oprah Winfrey's one of them, Chris Hemsworth on the male side does this in a very, very comfortable way. He might even give his male friends a massage quickly on the shoulder. All that's exceptional. But if you're not yet comfortable with this, what I recommend is finding that Goldilocks middle ground, which is resting your hand or high-fiving or hugging for 1 Mississippi off. That's it. Very simple. It's not a tap, because a tap can startle people. It's not a hover hands, because that's a little bit creepy and awkward. It's 1 second on, or a high five with a grab, or a resting arm on the wrist, whatever it is for about that period of time. That's going to build a bridge between you two, because you have been physically connected at that point.